Isla Bonita. What is that about? Look. There's the keys, there's the lights still on. Ah, this is not looking good. Doesn't want to turn off. Oh my God. Oh, there we go. I've managed to shut Madonna up. But that is not good. That is just going to run the battery down, 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 down. I purchased a 2003 Punto for €850. It needed a lot of work, but fortunately I have a backup car which is almost identical bar the ABS and a few other little bits and pieces to take the spare parts from. So on this episode, episode 2 of Revive a Wreck, that's what we're going to call this one, we're going to be showing you the window regulator going in and everything else, the tail light and a few other bits and pieces to finish off to make it 100%. Going to give it a little service as well, go through it. One of the things that I also did, which I haven't shown you guys, is the headlights. On the last series you'll see that I actually polished them with a polisher, with a DA polisher. What I did was I went home and got my proper headlight polishing kit and takes all this off and got them as best as I can. This is as good as these lights are going to get because unfortunately the inside has got a bit of tint to it. There's also a bit of slight crack in the lens. Ideally put some new ones on there, but we're trying to do this in a budget. It's still safe, it's still perfectly good enough for the road. Just for me, I think that I'm going to be looking for a set of maybe some depot ones off Autodoc, which are around 25-30 euros each, and putting those on there. Well, after some jiggery pokery, we've got the door back on, and look. Ooh. Wow, look at that, the window works. Now, because I don't know the complete history of this car, I am going through everything. I'm taking the oil out and looking at the oil and taking the oil filter out. If I was going to do like what we do in the aircraft, when we used to service aircraft engines, we used to take the oil filter out, cut the oil filter open and spread the element apart and check the element to see if there's any metal filings. I'm not going to go that in depth with this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drain the coolant. I want to see what colour the coolant is into a clean receptacle down there. We're going to see how much oil is in the cooling system. So I can't take it off from the radiator because the hose has got a pre-made clamp on there and I don't want to destroy that because it's a good seal. But I have noticed the last time I was saying it does lose a little bit of coolant and I've seen where it's coming from. It happens to be coming from the clip that I need to undo. So this is an ideal opportunity to get the pipe off, clean up behind it and make sure that is good and drain the fluid out from there, put the degreaser in the run up and everything else. I'm going to do that. So let's crack on, shall we? I have sped this up quite a bit because it does take quite a bit of time and there's a bit of fapping around on there. So meanwhile you can hear me talking like Mickey Mouse or one of the what is that? Is it chippy things? Just in case you are interested in watching the car go down, we'll do it anyway. I'll do the going down music. Pour it in, shall we? I've done this before, I know what I'm doing with this. People can say, oh, you're putting degreasant inside the engine, that would be bad for the seals and everything. No, this degreasant here is going to be in for all of 10 minutes. That's all. In we go. Ooh, nice. I'm going to flush it with the old thermostat in and clean it all out, and then once the system is cleaned I'm going to put the new thermostat in with the new coolant and bleed the system through. I'll show you an important thing on these and how to bleed the system through, because if you don't bleed the system through properly you can get airlocks in and then what it does is it burps and pushes all the coolant out everywhere and then you end up with possibly another head gasket failure. So join me in a minute. Agua fresco. Let's pour this in, shall we? Undo the little knurly screw at the back here. Yes, let's undo the little knurly screw at the back. You can't hear that from here, but it sounds like someone's having a piss under the bonnet. But that there is the air coming out from the heater system. I'll show you this little knob in a minute. Don't be so rude, I know what you're thinking. You've not got filthy minds out there. That's the one. Right, I'm going to put that back in. I love these old cars. No vacuum filling, nothing like that. Nothing like the modern cars where you've got to vacuum fill everything and need specialist equipment. Let's pop round the front, start it up. Hey, health and safety didn't go mad. Wunderbar. So I'm going to let that warm up. I've got the heating on the inside as well because that opens the valve so it allows the hot water to continue down because there is a shut-off valve. On some of the modern cars they don't use the same valve as what these use, which is a physical valve to stop the hot water from getting into the inside radiator. But this one has that, so we've got the valve turned around to hot to make sure that everything is going to get a good clean. We're going to have a little look down inside as well. Let's grab the light. So you can possibly see down there. That's quite good. So this is where it was leaking from before here. Oh, look at that. And to make sure that isn't actually blown out, we're going to clean that off and make sure. On these Fiats, they have a habit of these pipes rotting through, so I'm going to clean that up and give it some protection. Join me in a minute. Once it's warmed up, we'll drop the fluid out, we'll have a look in the bucket again and see what's in there, so give it 5 minutes. So whilst we're waiting for it to warm up a little bit, I've cleaned out the cap as well because in here was blocked, and the cap is very important pressure regulator. If it gets too much pressure in there, the function of this cap is not only to keep the coolant in, but to allow some of the pressure to escape, because the last thing you want is too much pressure and causing internal damage to the engine or blowing radiator pipes or even blowing the radiator itself. A lot of modern radiators have plastic end caps, and after a few years the plastic starts to get brittle. You can imagine how many hundreds and hundreds of times that plastic's got hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold, and the different environments it's had to work in. Sometimes you need to make sure that some of the other systems like the caps are working perfectly and they're all clean in there. This radiator cap here has a pressure valve inside there, and when the pressure gets too much, more than, I think it's 2 bar or 3 bar, that valve in there is pushed up, allows the pressure to push up, and it allows the, sorry, up a bit more, allows the pressure to come out through the side here. I can hear some noises, I thought it was water, but it isn't. So it's always a good idea to clean those. This is there are 2 different types of caps. You have the old-fashioned one which you push down and lock, it has a rubber seal on the cap, and then another rubber seal further down which is the pressure relief valve. This one is all in one. You've got the seal out there and the valve inside, so it's quite a compact unit, but that's all cleaned down. I'm happy for that to go back on when we're done with the flushing through of all the stuff that's going to come out in a minute. We'll have a look, shall we? Right, it's been 5 minutes. I don't want it to be scalding hot because I don't want to scald myself and get it out. It doesn't need to be scalding hot for the degreaser to work. It's literally, now it's probably around about 50, 60 degrees, which is more than sufficient. More than that. So we're going to pull this pipe off now. Get a nice clean catch at the bottom. And let's see what we get out of there, shall we? That was well worth doing. Not bad, eh? That was €3, that degreaser. Here in Spain they sell what's called Digresante. They do it in like litre bottles. It's like truck wash. Seriously, it's really, really good stuff. Look at that, I've only swished it in the bucket quickly. It's come up white again. Yeah, that's good. Right, now what we're going to do is chuck some more water down there to just flush it out. Fill it back up again, put the pipe back on, and here we go. Back down, Deja vu. Glug. How much am I getting over the engine right now? Smells nice. I'm just going to do this from the top, but you guys can't see what's coming out the bottom. That's the only thing. Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to grab the hose. I've got my hose, shoving the hose down the hole. Let's have a look and see what's in the bucket, shall we? Oh, look at that. That there is years of neglect. That is what is in that bucket. It's liquid neglect. Right, now what we're going to do is I'm going to put the clip back on. I'm not going to fill it with coolant yet because we have got... Oh, where's it gone? Here it is. We've got this bad boy to put on. Excuse the camera. I need an assistant. I need a camera person. On the later Fiat engines, they use a different thermostat to this. It has another arm that comes off it, built-in sensor, and it has a thin rubber seal that sits around the outside. On this one, however, old school paper gasket. So we're going to get the thermostat off, clean what's left of the old gasket on there, put this new one on, and run it up to temperature. I have a feeling with this that the temperature sensor is also faulty because it's not giving correct readings, but again, for my peace of mind, I know it's got a new walls pump, I know it's got a new timing belt. The only thing it hasn't had is a new thermostat. I don't understand, listen, if you're going to go to the trouble of doing a head gasket and the timing belt and everything else, why would you not change the thermostat as well? That would be like the cheapest thing to do to ensure that all your work is safeguarded for the foreseeable future. Join me in a minute. Yeah, join me in a minute. Here we are down at ground level, ground zero. 2 10mm bolts will hold the thermostat housing on. So, let's get to it. Notice the lovely Brickamart check strap holding the battery down. That's another job on the list to do. Right, here. That's not been out in a while either, but could be worse. Sometimes they corrode in. Oh, what did I say? Look at that. There was no thermostat in there. Why would you do that? You know, see, that explains an awful lot. That really does. That explains an awful lot. So, it was a good job I was replacing that. Right, let's get this off. Where's the... It was, I knew, do you know what? Your instinct. It's like dads with thermostats and the central heating. It's like, who's touching the heater control? With this, it was like, who's taking the thermostat out? So we can see there quite clearly that I was panicking yesterday thinking the car's overheating. I can't hear anything, I can't see any smoke. It's driving all right. It's taken a long time to warm up and being very, very jolty. Explains a lot with the temperature gauge as well. Going up to hot around town and then super cool when you get on the motorway. So, let's get the new one in, shall we? Now, I am going to do something in this one, and I'm going to show you just how much silicone you need to put in it. And someone's going to go, but you don't need to do that because the gasket seals itself. Well, trust me, I'm going to put a little bit around there because I don't want this gasket moving when I'm trying to get it in position. So I'm going to give this the best chance. We're going to clean up the mating area down here as well. We're going to make sure that the surface work's going on too. Oh, yes. Oh, I wish you could see this. It's difficult to get the camera down here, the accessibility issues, but you know how the last thermostat came out. there's all that around there. Yeah, I've got to get that gack off the engine as well. So let's get a torch down there and get some cleaning stuff. This stuff here is Henkel. It's next to Loctite 5810 is one of the best sealers on the market. There is actually the world's best sealer, which I class as being the world's best sealer, which is a sealant called Suzuki, made by Suzuki. It's called 3-Bond. It's an incredible sealer, it really is. We used to use it on old Triumph engines to seal the Triumph cases, and anyone who knows about Triumph motorcycles, the pre-units, will know that the cases used to leak, and when they stopped leaking was a sign that you'd run out of oil. So I'm going to put a very thin dabble around. I'm going to show you how I do it, because a lot of people go like that. No, it's not how you do it. Right, I'm going to put a little bit on my finger. I can get it out of this tube, not quite. This is how you actually put silicone sealer on. This is a different kind of silicone. So what we're going to do is, you don't go all around and stick it on. You stipple the sealer around like that, just with your finger, all the way around like that. Stipple, 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 stipple. Do you know where I learnt this from? I used to work for a company. We used to repair Rolls-Royce Conway and Rolls-Royce Darts aeroplane engines. And when we used to assemble the fuel burner cans in them, you had to use the blue hermatite, which most of you know is not that great. But if applied the correct way, it's actually very good. So now you can see there, look, I've not gone over the top, it's nice and uniform in there. We're going to now stick the gasket on there. And the thing is with that is I know that is not going to squidge out in there, and it's not going to get into the waterways, and it's not going to end up working its way around and getting stuck in the radiator. I'm going to literally, with what's left of my fingers there, you see how that little tiny bit has gone all that way. So we are just literally stipple, 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 stipple. Because bear in mind that when this is torqued down, that is going to spread out. So that's ready to go back on now. I think we're just going to get these little clean off. There's one. There's two. Now, this is an aluminium paste, commonly used. I use for when you put in aluminium wheels onto metal hubs on cars. Don't use copper strip in aluminium wheels when you put them into steel hubs, because when the salt gets to it, it turns into like battery acid. When you're using steel bolts going into alley heads, and you want to make sure they don't corrode, a little bit of the aluminium paste, which doesn't react and won't cause a reaction, and then ensure that when you next need to service this thermostat, you can get it up. Let's get this back on. So, get our bolts in. You can see there now, the gasket is I've been fapping around with down here. Sorry for the sideways angle. This is the new thermostat on there. It's all nice and clean. That should be sitting on the top there, where it sits in there. That's the lambda sensor wire, or oxygen sensor. Oh, what's that on the top there? There is a new clutch in there. You can actually see the clutch through the hole as well. It is a new head gasket on it as well. Why did they not change the thermostat? Alright, so what we've got there is 46. We're getting there. You can see there that it's expanding. There's a little bit of air in there. It's going to burp it out. You can see that now. There we go. I'm going to try and get rid of that air. Might push a little bit out, but we're at 42 at the moment, 47. What I'm going to do is actually just stop the car, because that should... Oh, yeah. See what it's doing now is it's just chucking out that bit there. We will let that do that. Because in a minute what that's going to do is it's going to go blub, 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 and go down. As soon as see what it's doing now? You'll hear a little gurgling noise in a minute. That's going down. Let that do that. Because in a minute what that's going to do is it's going to go blub, 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 and go down. As soon as see what it's doing now? You'll hear a little gurgling noise in a minute. That's going down. That's it. There. Good girl. That's it. It's like burping a baby. Right. Now that's dropped down. So let's try and start it again. We should have temperature. I'm going to check the right, we've got no hot water coming through on the heater matrix yet. The temperature gauge says it's up to normal, but we've still got air in the system, so we've got to try and get rid of the air. So for that we're going to have to crack off the valve in the back again. Jesus. Right. We're going to do that. So rather than take you through all this, because you've already sat through long enough in this, we're going to do this bit and then we'll wind it up. 3 hours later. No. Gonna let this get up to running temperature. I want to hear the fan kick in. Once I've had the fan kicking it out a few times, I know that the cooling system is doing what it should be doing. I've now got heat coming in through the inside, so I've got the heater knob turned on, I've got the fan on, and the windscreen is getting nice and warm. We're just going to make sure that the thermostat is doing what it should be doing. We've got 60 degrees there, 64. It's getting hotter, so we're going to let the pipes get the pressure up on the pipes, make sure there's no leaks for anything we've done. We're going to check all the pipes that we had off, make sure there's no leaky. And if we're happy with that, job done. Anyway, that's all for this episode. On the last episode, we'll just wrap up a few little bits and pieces to tidy, and I might even show you the process for the tests over here. And that will be it for this little one. There are a few other bits and pieces I'm going to do to the car later on, maybe some bodywork bits and pieces, because actually it's not a bad little car, it drives really well, and it's all together. But thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next episode, and we've got a few more cars. I've got another car which we're bringing down, which we're going to start to do the work on to get ready. This one's going back to England, so we've got to do a good job on this. Make sure that my fellow English mechanics back in the UK can't be criticising my work. Take care, thank you for watching. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and send me a coffee. No, actually, I would like some Yorkshire tea, loose leaf tea. I miss Yorkshire tea very much. Any of you out there want to send me some Yorkshire tea? Much appreciated. Thank you very much, bye for now.